think Seto has been the most topical in this election season. But what I found disappointing is that I think the media is mostly run with the perspectives of politicians without without really delving into the issues, whether what exactly is the issue at stake. Well, there's definitely been highlighted the lack of transparency at stake. I think that has been highlighted in the media a lot. But if you look at the general narrative from all media, like what has been highlighted to do with the some PFO government stance of say, and the privately owned media, they mostly just run with what the opposition has been saying without necessarily taking a really critical look at some of those issues.
Thanks, my name is Tawanda. I'm a freelance journalist. And I think the most disappointing aspect about our coverage of this election is the absence of the voice of the common people in most of the democratic that is happening. We've seen a lot of political party voices, we've seen a lot of civic society voices, but the real people who matter, we're not really in hearing them saying what they want, what they feel is happening on the ground, and what they believe should be the way forward. That's what I've noted so far.
Good afternoon. My name is Thomas. I'm a freelance journalist. One thing I've noted concerning 2018 elections is the issue of the impact of social media in giving independent candidates a voice. For example, I've noted candidates like Father Mai social media. So it's one thing I've noted. There are some other countries who are being vocal on social media. So a thing which is totally different from previous elections. So I think it's one striking issue I've noted concerning the 2018 election.
What have you found this?
From my own analysis of the election covered so far, my major worry in fact is in terms of reporting, there's partisan. So those reporting by journalists, where to find out that those journalists are for public media. Like one my brother from Harare said, they are pro Zanu-PF. I can give an example. Tendai Munyango participated in Zanu-PF primary election, and at the same time, he works for public media. Gives a lot of questions and answers. That he works for public media, and at the same time, he's come out clear the public that supports Zanu-PF. Was obviously when he participated in Zanu-PF primary election, it clearly shows us that he supports Zanu-PF. So therefore, it gives us an impression that whatever reporter that he makes to be pro Zanu-PF, for example, when he reports for ZBC, always attacks opposition parties, particularly the MCL. So the media itself should be public media is bad towards that. And from what I have seen, especially the missing link, I'd like to agree with my colleagues. The voice of the common people, the ordinary voice, is lacking. We always hear about civil society voices. always hear about these top guys in government or opposition. But the voice of those people, maybe, for example, residing there, it's not coming out. So that is the missing link that I discovered so far. And I think something should be done so that we accommodate those voices into mainstream. I think that's all.
Thanks very much.
Good day, everyone. My name is Godwin Oswald from Eduland, and I'm a digital media consultant as well. Basically, from what I've observed, especially on social platforms, 2018 elections, it is well commendable that most parties and individual candidates leverage on social platforms to gain general populace. But my concern, especially on these medium of communications, is the chatbots or the created bots, which are artificial intelligence, in creating false stories regarding to a political party, which is of much concern. It sways the public on what is the issues of the new information that is need to be diverged to the general populace. So, in essence, regarding social media or digital media, it's being used not in a good way, in diverting people's attention to the new issues, especially the issue of Zek. To find in 2018 elections, noticed that there was less, especially for the ruling party, ZANU-PF, less coverage or less engagement from them. But now, it's either they're paying people to use social platforms to do a PR engagement, which is a plus for them. But in terms of fake news and negative publicity, they're using for that. Then regarding to mainstream media, I think basically in terms of coverage, opposition parties, they are not getting much of it. We tend to look at our national broadcasting television, ZBC. If it's the opposition, they're getting the negative part of it, not the positive. And in terms of coverage of their rallies, it's next to none. In terms of media buying on ZBC, we find as opposition parties, they're not getting the prime spots in terms of advertising their campaigns or their manifestos as well. So it's still the same. Our media is polarized at the moment, and most of them they're captured and not bring justice to each and every political party.
Thank you very much. It's a good note.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you catch up basically what you catch up with the evidence of what is going right, what you see, and what you see. Just because we press for time, I always we shared the different views to summarize some of the elements that are arising from collective experience. The one theme or there's a consensus about the missing voices, the common person. Zimbabwe is 16 million plus people. It's, the election, yes, these are people seeking public office to govern 16 million. So the views of the 16 million can be submerged by the views of plus minus 8,000 contestants in various elements. I think for me, what has been like your colleagues, what I found missing is on our part the lack of a sense of proportion, balance in terms of weighing what is at stake, what are we talking. When we're talking about governance, government, how
that's what, like you, I found in our work in the media, we have not always had that sense of proportion that clearly, yes, when these people are talking, they are talking about the fate, the future of 60 million and their contribution to that. That's that. So I think let's take that as a lesson of if we going back into this story, let's find a way in which we say, so Mzenge has said this, the dog has said this. What does Gogoasu say about this? Because she's the one who will be affected by their promises and their programs. I think it is. So I think we should include that on our checklist in terms of when we do stories, even if it was one voice that the ordinary people are concerned about issues. And so what they are hearing at the moment are slogans, and no one spoke about their den. When they do so in a sweeping and very superficial. I think it is our role as media to try move that debate and that discussion to saving. Remember, we started off with our Trinity, with those politicians seeking public office on one hand, we sit in the middle, and you have the public. So our Trinity, when we play our role in the Trinity, is to get that sense of balance in terms of in the proportion. So this guy can't say this which affects 300,000. No, he can't be allowed to do this. We should have the moral outrage on behalf of the people that we serve on issues that they have. That's why when we ask the questions, they look impersonal, but fairly personal in the sense that we say, but the people say you have not done this, or you have not done this. There's always that the people give us the cover and the local stand for our work. That is the basis of journalism. The local standing, the right to be quizzing, interrogating, and demanding accountability from public officials and politicians is because we're doing it on behalf of others. So the coward in me always say, the people say you have not addressed this issue adequately. Kind of which people? Oh, of course, the ones you say you want to make a contribution. Then all of a sudden you realize they got to respond. So I think let's take that as lesson number one, that the voices that we're talking about in our own stories begin to emerge, whether as voices or even as background. They've said this because there are ways, and we will in our discussions find ways of how we import ordinary voices into our storytelling. I think so. That's the first one that I choose. The second thing I gathered from our discussion, just in terms of summary, is that we're saying we've noted that media is a political battleground. It is global. It is. This is where people go with their ideas and try to convince people. Why do people engage the media? To influence, to get seen, to seek office, to persuade, to dissuade, and all sorts. So we must realize that structurally we are a battleground for various formations. So when you are a battleground, how do you then save yourself from getting trampled on? And we did realize from the contributions again, in terms of the consensus that's emerging from me, is that we then find ourselves partitioned in partisan positions. Right? Again, the saving salvation you then say, if steel rusts, what will iron do, isn't it? Yeah. You have a higher calling. You are in a knowledge industry. People expect us to be able to survive these political battleground elements with our reputation, image, our community. They planted them, right? And they don't plant them once. This is it's an ongoing war, isn't it? So you may survive this element forward. It's walking through a landmine, but we meant to survive this the field so that we discharge our duties. So, to the extent that we note and recognize the media as a political battleground, we then say we must define the particularly during elections, is that it's ICE, ICE, where we want to inform, right, and connect and empower. Right? It's ICE, ICE chat. We're in a field where we want to inform, but the purpose of informing people, and this is, and I'll come to the other elements that we're talking about in terms of the content of how we interpret and all the rest of it. Are we informing or packaging and doing stuff in a manner that truly informs people? Truly. Not the politician. They are already informed. They are informed about what they want. They want to assume office and cause to save the public. In our case, we want to inform people so that when they make informed decision, right, and say, forward, I think these are the facts. And you make the decision. We shouldn't be making decisions for them. So during election time, we should remind ourselves that the media is there to inform, to connect with the various audiences and publics, and to empower them. When they are informed, they'll make the decision. And that's where the element that God knows is talking about the insidious use of social media is another battleground. It's an extension. It's just a media with an adjective, but it is media, and it becomes a battleground for all kinds of battles. So, so we define ourselves. So I think what this election, the way we've seen them and characterize them, is that we should go back to the basics and redefine our role. And the reason why people go to church is not because they don't know God. They do. But they have to remind themselves constantly. Similarly with professions, we need to remind ourselves about the reason why we exist. And there is no better or severe test of journalists in the media than during election. That's when your sense of fairness, your sense of commitment to accuracy and to balance, and to judicious approach to issues is at stake. People judge you, people will be remembered for how they covered this election for a long time to come. Say, oh, that guy, that girl. So we have to emerge from this with our reputations intact. We should rescue journalism, because already journalism is in retreat, and people trusting things. We're not playing our role as much as possible in terms of verifying. And then for the missing voices, for the partisan positions, for the manner in which ZEC becomes a topical and major issue in this election. What I found is, and this is what I found missing, is context. In this is context. We beyond ZEC and the Electoral Act, the Zimbabwe Electoral Act. Zimbabwe is a signatory to a number of statutes and protocols around elections. About 2-3 months, Ernest, if I'm not mistaken, there was a major conference to introduce the SADC electoral guide, right? Guide on election, and we're all there as journalists. I found in these stories no reference to that, to those guidelines. I found no reference to other elections in the region and to whether the demands and the issues arising around ZEC are regional. There's a context around where else do you, if what do the guidelines do? Does the electoral act speak to those guidelines? What is it? No, not in the middle. I haven't found. So I found the context, our context missing. I found ourselves educated but not traveled, not worldly enough on this topic, despite all our experience. That I found missing, really missing, beyond the previous. I found also missing background. We're not the only ones who have been to an election. And again, I'm going to cite something that Gordon Mosley did talk about, and I think Tawan as well, in terms of social media input and all the rest, what's happening now. There's a global debate around governing in the age of the internet and social media. Huge challenge around. I've also found our reporting a little lacking in terms of comparison. So what happened in the UK, in the US, even only to say, although the college doesn't fight, but the same issues arose in this manner. I found ourselves educated, but not knowledgeable in terms of just putting those issues forward. And obviously, I've said that. Of the region, that countries in sub-Saharan Africa, a little disturbing from where we are today. Media, all you need is what Ernest has and copy, and you can check where else. So, accompanying ballot boxes, Angola, Congo, and say, oh yeah, huge dispute. Similarly, it was resolved in this way, or never resolved. So that will not surprise. The public, again, we are in a trinity. The public, the media is the eyes of democracy. They look at both the public and the public office seekers in the media. That's how we become eyes. I found sometimes we have looked at those at our challenges, like I'm looking at you. I have to change lenses every now and then. Those of you who have their eyes intact, it's if I put on these ones, I look different. I look at issues different. This is long lens, and I'm looking. I can't live with the same. Are we reporting with the same lenses all the time? Sharp, short, where we need long, wide lenses, and we use short, sharp. Sometimes I got an impression that so I'm using that as a symbolic thing. I found ourselves that sometimes maybe we're using the same lens for all things when different issues need different lenses so that you see them sharply. So those are the three. I hope I've summarized for us a little. Well, any contribution around that, we can go to the next item. Yes.
Yeah, I just on by supporting what you were saying. And I think as the media, we should indeed go back to basics. And also to be objective enough so that we are not carried by subjective narratives. Yeah, this will help us to be factual. And it will also I think going back to basics is the key issue that we should use so that we maintain our impartiality. About writing what I think, but it's about writing what the source has said. Yeah. Who are the yeah, so I think it is very important to return to basics.
I just a last point around if colleagues you have an opportunity to look at to have the courage to look at it. But we do better when we look at ourselves and the reason why we have mirrors and say, oh, it's not looking quite good. I think we should have the courage every now and then to look at media critiques and the reviews that are done by their colleagues. Ernest made a contribution of, last week, which we published on Zinfect, and I'm going to give you the site for some of you to look. Future is doing design. The people take up to the podium like a priest, like a pastor, like a politician, and there's a kind of a disconnection around it. So please do, they form they form a basis for discussion on how we can improve ourselves. So the same point I was going to make, and I had some notes, I found a preponderance of these talking heads, what I call talking heads, the usual voices, the politicians, the public official, this commentator on this. You commenting on my faith for heaven's sake. You ask me how I feel. Can you ask me how I feel? Before you speak on my behalf, I'm not deaf and dumb. Even if I was, I have friends and relatives who can speak for me about this is how I feel. That's the way I think we should approach this. Our second thing is learning from what we now know about some of the weaknesses or areas where we should, the gaps we should work around, is want to do a little mapping exercise. And we'll start off from here. You this time you don't escape because you are with us right from the beginning. We want to do a little mapping exercise. Where is the election story going? Where is the election story going? And where do you see as the major issues? From where we are, we've covered part of it. There's still some way to go. What are the issues?
Yeah, for me, I think if I look at this issue of my election, is for now.
You didn't say you're not for
I am not decided to
December or December 2 freelance.
For me, it's an unpredictable issue, and I am treating this as a time we are in pre-election, and we are going to write about the election result, and after election as well, we are going to write other stories where we will be taking the views of those who will be protesting. And are they going to accept the results? Are they going to deny? What are the next stages to be taken? ZEC is also to be a major player in those issues. So I think we still have a way to go.
You June 30 as predictable.
Yes.
We know there must be a result
Yes.
as predictable.
Yes.
We know the contestants now,
Yes.
their numbers and all the rest. That's
For the results from the contestant.
So we have a major story in terms of mapping and different versions, isn't it? In our diversity, we should be putting out a story or stories focusing on where does Zimbabwe head after the elections? The results must be in within 5 days, isn't it? Yes. How does that, the different expectations of results, how does that, where does that take Zimbabwe? And Zimbabweans, isn't it? Zimbabwe and Zimbabweans. You have the state, but you have the people, isn't it? Yeah. It's so that's a huge issue, major story. Election story is about Zimbabwe, the state, and Zimbabweans in their welfare and their expectations. Good news.
I think after elections, basic just general mood, especially on the Zimbabweans, regarding to the victors who are running for office, in terms of how their acceptance, how they're going to move forward from that. Products as well, how are they going to receive the chosen candidates running for office, and how we approach and conduct ourselves regarding to our political agendas, social issues, and economic development as well. So just after elections, we just want to see how the acceptance, basically the mood, and at the same time the tone of the general populace.
Thanks very much, and I will just pick on the mood. One day you wake up and the mood swings, isn't it? We know about mood swing. Wake up one day, is it something that Tawanda is whispered and said? Tawanda normally has good instincts, and he says, I can smell trouble. And meanwhile, you had budgeted for happiness for the day, and is affecting your mood by his planting this negative, or maybe it could be coming that you can really smell trouble. So the mood stone is in two parts. It's a continuous story in the sense, but you have to pin it down. Right? Why? What has affected the mood? Right? And normally people's moods are affected by the major story around in how we respond. And it's normally fear around the safety and security. Your own. Tikati pane trouble kwanza, very few people venture out. They will venture out in a manner where they also want to protect themselves and stay alive, only to be witnesses, isn't it? And that is where media is. It must be able to report it remains alive and sensitive to reporting that story. So the story also is about us. So it will be a story about the mood within political camps. Those who have signed up and ready to kill, maim, and do stuff to other people on behalf of political parties or their leaders. And those who are sometimes a little more distant and would rather concentrate on their, if they say there's trouble, the closest thing they do is to think about their family and friends. So it's God knows ways. So it's a safety and security a story for them. Is it a story?
In terms of what's,
It's an election story.
I think in the Zimbabwean context, social getting collection, I think it's always a story.
Thank you. It's a major story in the sense that already you can see the discourse and discussions in political sector. We've had in the past week, fellows who have been concentrating a lot sometimes on their own manifestos and programs, warning others, you cause trouble, you will get trouble. Right? You cause trouble, you get trouble. Isn't it? It shows you there are already concerns around what security, stability, peace, and the future. So it is a story. So it is a story that we should be keeping an eye on. And the way to keep an eye on from where we are as freelancers of different things is to do a mapping exercise. I draw this character called Zimbabwe, I love this man, and say, where are the trouble spots? Why are they trouble spots? I could do just a little profile on this restless place. There's always trouble because people smoke dope or do all sorts of drink illicit brew, and they're not always the most balanced link to issues. Which ones are they? Where would you get trouble? How would you even if you didn't report it, but you are planning and looking forward to it and say, yeah, don't be surprised. We don't want, because we're planning, isn't it? We don't want to be caught by surprise. So you kind of make it. What I found missing again from is a complete comprehension and the complete story of Zimbabwe from Gokwe to Gwanda, right? What's happening in Kumadziwa, Dondo, or Gandalaro, Bas, Soro when you got this Passover, Soro when what's happening to those? There's Zimbabweans, isn't it? Yeah. And you and I are sitting in this street, and we care about the politician, what they say, but we care more about the people. Huh? Like they say, that's how we become an state. We become the fourth state because we also stand for the people like that's how we become an state. So we have to take journalism into covering the elections and validating its position as the fourth state. It does so when it speaks and cares for people. So that's important. So it's the mood in the camps, political camps, it's the mood of the people. You remember we're in the Trinity. So don't tell me, oh, there was apprehension in the Zinem Ninja's party, my favorite, and in Zinem Ninja's party over the prospects of losing and all the rest of it. And you don't tell me what speeding around the rugged roads. they get worried. They may look in amazement, but they really worry about whether they should sleep in darkness while these souls from who visit their rural areas once in 5 years, pitch up and they do.
Yeah.
They do. So yes, the study was a tool.
Thomas.
Your contribution in terms of the way you see the story. The next stage of this story.
The next stage. I think the biggest challenge will be uniting the nation. Whoever is going to win is a mammoth task of uniting the nation. So far, what we are seeing, people are divided. It is affecting even tribal issues, racial, and so I think the biggest challenge for whoever is going to win the election is uniting the nation.
Another major story. Have we seen anyone worrying about how this nation must unite after the election? Because these are going, right? We're still going to be brothers. We're still going to be brothers and sisters. Going to be uncle and cousin and all the rest of it. We're still going to be neighbors. We're still going to be compatriots. How do you get the nation? I think it's a major. And again, in terms of making difference, and the story is for all of us in that when you look at issues in that global sense, because you can divide them and say, is the unity we are talking about simply a GNU or unity among politicians? And who is interested in that? Right? And you pose the question, who is interested in lining up these fellows for the trial? Maybe some of you may. I'm not. You coming from a situation where you say the resources are limited. You need a lean, small cabinet. But maybe the political imperatives may demand that I include further so that fellows from Karol Urumbe can see I'm still brothers with the mission. Maybe the political imperative. But it is the media which dispassionate, which looks at those issues in a national way, on behalf of the people, and say, what would people prefer? Take a symbol, say, what is the price of democracy? There is a price, isn't it? That you pay. Sometimes it's in monetary terms, sometimes it's a position. Sometimes it's in positions, in positioning. Is the media, are we ready to tell the story? Not in a partisan, but to pose the question and put it out. How do we move? Are we as journalists playing a part in that? Maybe that's a debate for you and Ernest and the other colleagues. What does media, what's the media? What is the best practice? What is the experience? Just before we started with the colleagues were saying, this feels close to 1980. We will see elements to that. As I said to the dog, yes, in some respects, but it's a little exaggerated from my point of view. 1980, you had heavily armed contestants. The politicians on one, you had Zipra and Zapu, you had Zamla and Zam, and you had auxiliaries in between. And again, like I said, I find context, background, a little compromise, I find it a little compromise because we quick, we just want to push it and push that. So yes, that's a huge story, and we can break it in different elements again, making sure we're focusing on the public office seekers and the public. How it affects.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for me on the elections, what are the people with the outcome, and now the country moves forward, and also from an economic perspective, and in terms of the population and the investment relations, how people react to the outcome of the poll, and how we move from this point onwards, and also with the people, the common people will get what they were promised during campaign, whether they will just be thrown by the wayside until they
There's a broad picture mapping, right? This economy is actually being fought over the economy, isn't it? This election is being fought over the economy, the future of the economy. So obviously, that's a big story. What are the permutations, what is likely to happen, and you can break those stories sector by sector, right? If this happened, but again, you're not getting the usual voices, and we'll talk about sources and sources. You're also trying to enlarge that story. It's about promises and the pledges we hear. How realistic are those? Yes. You're coming from when you're coming from hyper inflationary background, you have big feelings. There's enough studies done around the psychology of hyperinflation on the people. If you give your daughter $1, which is a third of the daily wage on a farm, $3 a day. It's a lot of money to me. But sometimes your kid, depending on the age, might sniff it. And you get angry and say, oh yeah, okay, I forgive the daughter because she's a product of our hyperinflation. It used to be even more. So yes, let's break down the response. I call it response and reaction, because sometimes you respond and you retreat. Sometimes you respond and you react, isn't it? Yeah. That's how elections happen. People respond, relate to them. So you can even
I think for me, it's basically related to what Tony said, but mainly just I'm particularly concerned a child losing sight or maybe handle results. Because I think in the past, that has been key to how the country progresses. Regardless which side, I think that's going to be key.
That's a major again, and that's a big mechanism. That's going to be key how various organized forces for organized formation are going to create. But sometimes it also depends on how the state is. Remember, we've contested. You have a state outside those contests. Right? People who, by belief and conviction, believe the state of Zimbabwe is well fed. a discussion about how strong our conviction is. And when you have countries coming from, go to Vietnam. Yes, almost half a century after the wars. They states, so you don't look like you are in abnormality. Because sometimes our state gives an impression we're dealing with some women. I don't think so. That's a huge thing. The losers, I hope you guys are lining up to relate and tell the story of the losers with sensitivity. Alright? Don't try to have the sword. It looks like it's Thomas' plan. Thomas' election plan.
Yeah, I wanted to say something, but unfortunately I was outside. I think going forward, I think it is very good for the media to report promises being made by listing of actors. Right now, the media is just monitoring those promises. And then I think post-election, the media will play a very critical role evaluating those promises being made. It's very easy to see the performance of those contesting for public office. These are the promises they are making. So post-election, I think it's very critical to report on progress that will be made by whosoever they are with. So I think the media should play such a very, very critical role.
Thanks for the contribution. It kind of dovetails with both Victor Wanda and the father said. That's a huge picture. And enough, you can break them down and locate each of them even geographically. You were promised the cow, the other one a goat, right? The other one a chicken, and all the rest. There's a tale about all promises made in the heat of the moment are subject to review in sober moment. You know about that? Yeah, the times when they say, I have the right to review. Not when they are politics, I'm just joking. These are at a personal levels, yes, it's different. When you have your partner, my wife, the real species, this kind of policies. Right? When I escape, I have the right to review. Right? When it's safe to do so. It's safe to do. Because there may be issues of personal security involved in that. Subject to review, the sober moments.
Yeah, my contribution was I think this is the video. After elections, we still have a bigger role to play. The same role we are playing now about informing the people, who is contesting, where, how, what is happening, what are the promises, and all that. We review. Does this type of the trajectory which they are taking after getting in office, is it consistent with what they promised? So that we try to panel it or to remind them that it was time improves this. But the way you are looking now, it's opposite. So I think we just have a bigger hope, not because the elections are gone, but there's another battle just starting after the elections are gone of delivering what you promised during the election time.
Thank you very much. As you are speaking, we're just trying to get into the next session and asking NSDA to look at our Sinfect promise check. I hope you guys are taking the opportunity to look at. So if you go, for example, you can look at NS thing. Yes, the reason why you have the 100-day plan, what has happened in 100 days is that the global approach by media is that the elections don't end on polling day or the what is it, the delivery of the inauguration of a president, or a prime minister, or whatever other ceremonies happen. That the election actually sometimes is to over 100 days. Right? What are they doing, these fellows who promised them so much? Thanks. We'll come back to that and
Yeah, I think people have said almost enough. Except that he could have missed something, but I'm looking at the election aftermath and the fifth day within the constitutional the announcements. I think they're based on the observers' reports, the legitimacy. I'm looking at that period. People said about the acceptance or lack of acceptance, legitimacy or illegitimacy. Then that's a crucial time now. But I wish our Zimbabwean journalists, our reporters, would measure up to have at least a semblance of peace journalism. That's my wish. Peace journalism. That's what we like in Zimbabwe. Our media, they inflame, they exacerbate, they fuel. Depending on we're talking about the issues of polarization, partisan journalism. It's very sad. I wrote an article on state part conflation, about journalism reporting. It's very sad. It's just mentioned one state media. There are others as well in the private. They've decided to become political commissars, political activists of a political party, divorced from the normal job of journalism. So, the mood of the country is going to be determined by the reporting of the election aftermath. If there's a stalemate, for example, I am not so pessimistic, but I'm talking of possibilities. We had that after 2008. If there's a stalemate to say where's no winner and so on, then maybe if there's a period of again to say we're going to have a winner, that period is very critical about peace journalism. How do we report issues where there's no winner, but there's going to be a winner? How do we report? The unfortunate thing is that our journalism, they look at this party list of blame and so blame things and so on, doesn't build the nation. It's our nation. We forget that over and above our media house were influenced by employer. It's our country together.
Thank you very much. I think Ernest is here. I think you will note it down for our capacity building. I think we do need more skills than we use at any one time. It's like having a toolbox. You're not always using a spanner number, but you have all sorts, isn't it? So we need those skills that we're talking about for the day when we need to do. And I'm sure it's part of the media center's commitment to helping all of us to capacity building, even if those elements we may not use immediately, but when we have those skills, it helps. Thomas, you got us on the last leg. You want to make a contribution around the planning and making the story beyond the election day, the polling day, or towards polling day.
Yeah, maybe issues around what is saying that peace pledge.
Okay.
So, in the event of some kind of political outcome, the seven parties still honor their pledge to whatever they want to do in peace.
Yeah. The peace pledge is a huge thing and it fits into the element that we're talking about here, in terms of we need references to it. Now we went to the signing ceremony, we rarely refer to it, even when there are fears of around security. I think it is important that we make this background and references to what they've committed themselves to. You guys signed up, you protect life and live, right? Or live and life. What's this noise all about? The mechanism to secure peace in the event that you have a serious dispute. What are they? Who are the personalities likely to play, or how do they do it? Mediators. The whole November thing eventually boiled down to mediators, isn't it? You had to find someone who can crisscross us. It's going to be Ernest, it's going to be Thomas, crisscrossing, ensuring rather, this is not the end of the world, it's just the beginning after all. We're doing all sorts of things. What do they do? Normally they trust, and you find normally your peacemakers rarely say things in their name. So they retain the right to be able to approach an angry Ernest to reconcile with an angry Thomas. And say, guys, you brothers, I think it was our colleague. We know what happened in Kenya, do we?
Yeah.
What did the observers say about the first one?
It was friend.
Uneducated references to that way. There are experiences around the world, how things do. It took the judge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what happened to the ones who had said fair and fair? Deafening silence. What happened to media? They walked away from that thing as if it never happened and began saying it wasn't free. There's a huge debate, colleagues, for those who are interested around the elections, around the world, as to why media gets its projections, has been getting its projections, winners and losers, wrong, almost across the world. Europe, UK, US, London. And for me, it speaks to our last day. It is about sourcing. The media now lives in how many groups, guys, notice over group right now. How many groups are we in terms of social media stuff? How many groups? Farah, how many groups are you? Quite a few. Half a dozen?
Maybe
Two,
close.
six?
Yeah.
10? More than 10. What those are around the world is that they are our clubs, isn't it? These are colleagues we know, So there is incest in the media. Incest, we know incest. There is an incestuous relationship that's developing globally around media and clubs. So we tend to share the same information. So why is it important for us in terms of our last item that we need to find sources for information? These sources must be more than our friends and our families and our clubs. That is the reason. We have to stop incest, right? We share stuff, but no incestuous relationship. One of the issues being put forward is that we're getting it wrong because we're not speaking to the people. We're not close enough. Right? We're close enough to ourselves, right? In our different clubs. To make a group, a family group, and I have a quarrel with some uncle, blast that one. Throw in the midst, you trying to raise money for a funeral. The guy will throw in a political joke. Where is your contribution on that? I would say it's I'm citing that we live in this echo chamber. Maungira, Umombe, those of you who were heading and the opportunity and the joy of heading Cape Town, definitely. The echo that echo, the Kawai, but you know, Kawai. Sometimes, isn't it? You could tell with, yes, because the length of the thing determines sometimes the sound. That's what's happening in the media. We need to develop sources. We need to say to ourselves, the media is not being trusted because they are not. We're not getting close enough to the story. Thomas, can I find out you can get out more than the teaching? The fellow at the grinding mill. Normally, you get a journalist working in their own village. He doesn't know the price of a goat or a cow. Meanwhile, they can recall the last statement made by the Secretary General of the UN. This person is completely useless to his people. That person. Because you can know both. There's no harm. When you know both, you are strong, isn't it? Strong. That's our media. So we are strong when we are strong on the local issues. That is when our strength is. That is our strength. No one comes here and say, plays the game better than we do. I tell you where it wrong. No. We know the issues, we know the people, we know who to go to. But much more so, we move around with a deep stick to measure the mood, the views, and the aspirations. That's on sourcing. So what we want to do around sourcing, and I'm going to ask Ernest that can we revisit this as our entry point for our next discussion? That actually challenge ourselves and say, how many sources do I have for this and that and that? Beyond the fellows I've already been using, how many other voices have I heard? Or if I, because you seek them. Remember, we're talking about voices. You seek them. And some of them will say things you don't like. We're not meant to love them. No, that's not our business. They are already loved by their lovers. So you stay on the profile. For today's session, we're coming to an end on facts. Journalism is a test that we're wrapping it from where we began. Journalism is a test during election because that is when journalists compromise facts. Yeah. They compromise because those facts don't sit well with their own views and their preferences and the preferences of their friends and family. Right? And the bets they've taken on various issues. So why do we need to stick to facts? And the easier way of relating to facts is to approach the medium dry way and say, you begin, and Ernest was talking about that we'll do a bit of discussion around data journalism, is to dry it and say, you have $10 and it's in coins, and you actually count, and it's 10, and we're asking you to record whether they are 10, and you record 10 without telling us it is to recognize them as dry as they are initially before you import a value. That's facts. So I'm going to ask colleagues at some stage, if you have an opportunity, come through to Ernest's machine. We're doing something called the Zinfect Promise Checker. It's on election reporting. If you go into it, you try it. We're recording who is saying what, promising God's chicken, airports, and all sorts of stuff. It's there. For you simply what you say, and then you then get into the frame where you were saying we count the day.
No, I want to say this. I want to ask. Sorry. I want to ask. Before this, Zambia as a political party, they promise are not just on the manifesto. They're not the manifesto, yes, but they're doing it over more than 610 countrywide billboards. I kept in that for those promises, I think that someone needs to say, to make a follow-up, to say, how far do we have fresh water now? How far do we have now? Balance on this one. Okay. The promise over.
Oh, okay.
More than 610 billboards countrywide.
Okay. How do we know 610?
I got the statistics. I got it from Rogage.
Oh, okay.
I actually did a personal interview there.
That's sourcing. Source and sourcing. Right? In order to prove that we are close to the story, we have a front row seat in the battle, isn't it? It's a boxing match. And the journalists are given the one front row seat. So we can't report like the fellows right at the back. So Gage says there are 610 billboards.
Countrywide.
Countrywide.
And they have different messages, but they're all capturing. Below, they're all the same below, because below they all include the manifesto. Okay. Unite, develop, engage, whatever, and so on. But the others are different messages.
There you are.
We want, what, so on.
We keep our eyes peeled. You look out for them. Are they different? What do they mean for the different areas? Some may be misplaced. Promise me something I'm not looking for. Say, I like it, but I think that applies to Lupane. Mind, the issue here is this, isn't it? Say, oh yeah, it's there, but they put it in Lupane.
Yeah. Thanks for that, because I've observed that some of them are very specific to specific areas. Like the one in Kwekwe, say reviving Cisco Steel, then creating many jobs.
Thank you, and take care the lead from. So the stories are already partitioned for us into digestible pieces. And unless there is something else, we can pick up the discussion later. I'll allow you to summarize.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, for the discussion. I think the issues emerged, issues of what is missing and so on and so forth. I think the issue of the citizen, the ordinary citizen being neglected became one of the issues that we are missing in the story. So what our aim as the media center, being held by Chris, is to help maybe ourselves, that is us, we are journalists here, that is part of the media center, to then come up with alternative stories that cover some of these gaps. We need the stories from Sibinge, we need the stories from Choloto. We are not seeing those, except when politicians go for rallies. That's when we read about it, or we see someone from Fingel. But without Chamisa going there, you don't see anything about someone from Lusaka. You don't see anything about someone in Bing. But the journalists now, being the fourth estate, you have to cover the game so that the citizenry is not squashed in the midst of politicians. That's our primary aim, and that's why we want this debate to lead to. And like you say, maybe the next discussion will then be about sourcing. I think we will have a lot that is related to sourcing after that, because I'm sure the next discussion will be after Monday, and there will be lots of rumor and so on and so forth. It may also be even about, we will be in a different context. We will be having a new government, maybe the MPC would have one, maybe Zambia would have one, and there will be need about discussion around sourcing, because I'm sure there will be lots of rumor. Yes, depending on what happens, what are they going to do, and so on and so forth. So that will be the next discussion, and our aim is to make sure that these discussions really illuminate the debate, and as part of also we have started a group of citizen journalists from around Zimbabwe, which can also be tapped into by colleagues around the table, so that they can also know what is happening around the country. For example, I was getting an update from Chipinge to the effect that different candidates are now organizing brides for the brides together to promote peace, that sort of thing. We may want to look deeper into those kind of issues. Are we going to have the same spirit after the election? I think the issue of the post-election is featured prominently in the discussion. That is the issue now. Business, I think someone talked about business. That will be a key issue after the election. Because this government, the government of President Nagaba, has defined itself as a government that is on a pathway to reviving business in Zimbabwe. So that will be a key point of reporting. And it's not only about the government, it's also about even the international community. The international community, I think, is worried that Zimbabwe has been out of the business circles for a very long time. So it's an issue. And when we look at that, we shouldn't forget that. Even when we look at how the international community is going to pronounce this election, we shouldn't forget the element of business. Zimbabwe has been out of business for too long. Resources have been lying fallow here, that sort of thing. So that element has to come into play, and I am happy we have colleagues here who concentrate on business. It's the real issue in this election and after this election. So he mentioned the Kenyan, the Kenyan example. The international community basically said, no, this is a free and fair election, only for the courts of the country to say no, to nullify the result of the presidential election. So we have to be on the ball and make sure that we have the story of the particular time So that's the aim of these discussions. These are discussive, and we want to share perspectives. And I'm actually happy that we have Dr. Mungwari. He has written a lot about the framing of issues in the media. It's about freedom. What is the Zimbabwean story? And looking at especially from 2000, that's where we have this high bubble. You know, it was different all along, but after 2000, our media take a completely different shape. So these are very important issues. Thank you for coming in to share with us. We hope you are going to be a prominent feature of this discussion. And colleagues, thank you. I think the sharing was very important. And really the issues that we spoke to are the issues. And we want that to make sure that the stories become public sphere platforms where people from around Zimbabwe, because he mentioned that the story is only about certain places and certain people, but we want a story on all places. So thank you, and
all the best. If you need, if you think you